We're going to go over Withering Heat. A lot of builds that people really don't run a lot is Withering Heat. We're going to be debuffing every champ. I don't have anti-barrier on. I'm pretty much just going to show you how overpowered this mod is. You can use it for endgame. This is a 1590 lost sector, so anything endgame you can really use, but I'm going to be abusing it with Withering Heat, Tractor, Roaring Flames ×3, Synthoceps, and the absolute Titan Bonk himself. But again, it's really good for debuffing champions and understanding like what you can do with it. There's I think a lot of people just don't understand like how like overpowered you could actually be with it. Main thing is about being on the bonk is keeping up your Roaring Flames and knowing what's surrounding you. So like right here, I'm gonna throw the nade, debuff them, bonk them, refresh, bonk, bye-bye. Didn't even stand a chance. And I'm just using my sunspots to make sure that I never die. And by the way, every time you throw that hammer, you are radiant. So that's kind of why like this is kind of busted, because every time you throw that hammer, you're becoming radiant and you're stacking that with everything else, which is just kind of stupid if you ask me. But now we're gonna go for him. Bye-bye. Now again, you could do this on warlocks, you could do this on hunters. You just need to find a way to debuff those champs with solar abilities. But Withering Heat is absolutely busted, and I hope you start using this mod because it's kind of nuts. So now we're going to show what these two mods do together. Again, you're losing that Withering Heat. It does suck, but you know, I'm not going to bonk everything in this lost sector. Again, this is a 1590. We're going to show you what happens when you put these two cool mods together. This is pretty cool what happens. So we're going to use a Revitalizing Blast. Stunning a champ causes it to ignite when you stun them. And then Solar Fulmination. Your ignitions do increased damage. So it's kind of cool how much damage you can actually do on these guys, like on a single champ. All right, so we're going to show what these two mods do together right here when I stun the champ. Did you see that? The combustion of this, of what it does? Yeah. So that can help you with finishers when these two mods go together. Now you don't need to run the extra damage one. The Revitalizing Blast is just funny itself. You know, it's crazy that it does that much damage together. So again, remember, this is not something that everybody needs to run. This could just be something that one teammate runs. So if there's anti-barriers, he's going to stun him and do that much damage to him. It's kind of insane that you can use this much mods and cool little builds to get this much stuns on a champ and set up for a nice finisher. So use it for your builds and kind of see what you can do with a Revitalizing Blast and Solar Fulmination. So now I wanted to show off Classy Restoration. Now you have to understand that the tall wall on the Titan is tied to my resilience, so I do get lucky there. If you're also doing a warlock, this would be tied to your recovery, and then your dodge on your hunter is mobility. I'm going to be doing future videos on that. Also, I'm just going to show you what Classy Restoration does, how you can tank so much damage. And again, I'm going to pop a tall wall right now. I just popped my tall wall and I got Restoration to proc. As you see, it's ×2 for 10 seconds. How do you get it to last that long? Well, you go right here, Ember of Solace, and you put on Radiant and Restoration effects applied to you have increased duration. So I'm pretty much just going to show you what this mod does and how does it make you unkillable as a Titan. So when I start this room, obviously I want to kill some ads here, and yeah, I'm going to actually come up here and start taking some damage, and I'm going to activate it. Restoration is gone right now. 4, 3, 2, 1, back at it. So I go 5 seconds without having it, which is nuts. And while I have it procced, I can also miss hammers and have enough time to go pick that up and throw this and pick up Well of Life. So now I'm just consistently keeping myself alive in all scenarios to using this. And again, this works for any class. You can use this for your warlock. You just need to understand when to use your rifts or a hunter when you use your dodges, Classy Restoration is good for stuff like this. Do you need it in every single scenario that you're doing in the game? No, that's why you can have fun with other of the mods and other class item mods. But again, we're going to keep going with this, and I'm actually going to show you why I don't use the Loreley helmet now and why I use Synthoceps. The reason why is I want my tall wall when I want it. This is considered using a tall wall or using my class ability and giving me a sunspot because restoration is procced. That's what Loreley does. Loreley, when you're critically wounded, it takes your shield away from you and puts a sunspot. Well, I need that tall wall for DPS, and there's a reason why. So I'll show you this as we go on, so on and so forth. I'm going to show you how I prep for damage. What's your best way? Again, I'm going to be doing this when I switch to my Warlock and my Hunter and get a build together. You want to clear these guys out right away. So I'm going to use a roaming super to have this happen. I know that when I first start DPS, there's no snipers hitting me. Boss is going left, so I'm going to cut the boss off here. Bait the slam, throw that. I got my charge with light. Now the snipers are starting to hit me, so I'm going to move around. This next bell that I'm going to do damage at, I'm going to pop a tall wall so that my snipers don't hit me. Cut the boss off. Pop that tall wall, the proc restoration, so I don't have to worry about the snipers hitting me. Again, the flinch is a little tough right now. But again, if you look at my tall wall, I'm going to get it back. I'm going to pop it again. Start my damage. And that tall wall is just proccing restoration, so I'm always healing. And I use my tall wall when the game wants me to, not when the helmet says I'm going to use it. It's going to take it from me. You know, the helmet would literally take my tall wall from me there, and I don't want that to happen. I want to use my tall wall when the game tells me, hey, you can use your tall wall whenever you want. You don't need the sunspot. And that is the demonstration of why I use Synthoceps over the helmet. All right, so now that we're set up for DPS, I'm going to switch to my Glaive, and I make sure that I have that mod on. Pretty much, it's just going to give me a damage buff. Every time I pick this up, this lasts longer. So, pain. So what I want to do is I want to bait these guys to the entrance so I have it at all times. Again, I have this Scion here. I want you to watch my DPS counter. I didn't get him. I did. So it gave me an extra counter. Gave me an extra time. I have the Glaive equipped. Roaring Flames. Surrounded. And watch the damage. 231,000 per hammer. And if I want to refresh, just come here. Now it just went away. And he's dead. Voila, Titan's broken. But again, I got a longer DPS phase because I had a Glaive equipped, and I also had the Glaive of Dreams. I made sure that I picked up that Nightmare buff by the door, so I'd get that 231 damage juicing. Again, if you were on a Warlock or a Hunter, you would have to use like Sword or Wither Horde or Anarchy or whatever you're doing and break it up into lower damage phases. Sure, there's ways to one phase with those characters as well, but I just timed out and made sure that I was always surrounded by ads. And I also hit my hammer on those two guys to open up the portal, to open up the bell, to proc my Roaring Flames. Yes, so the Nightmare buff, that's what this mod does. When you kill a mini Galron and you pick up the Nightmare buff, it lasts longer, but you just need to have this mod on with a Glaive equipped. So if you were on other classes, you would need to switch to a Glaive before damage and then just use like Witherhoard's sword. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna get that extra damage buff.